Amy,
Good morning.
good morning. We are recording, so just thought I'd let you know that.
Thank you.
So you were basically talking about. I must not have put a waiting room on here. Oh well. You were talking earlier about not being able to record or being able to do something as I make you host, or what was your concern?
I think we want to go with the co-host option if we can, because only the host can record. And I think
Well,
when we were trying it yesterday, you literally made me host and then you weren't the host anymore.
we're recording right now.
Mhm.
So you think if I make you host, it's going to stop recording?
I'm
Uh,
not sure.
all right. So make host. See, I don't see where I can make you co-host. It says I see make host, allow record, rename, put in waiting room, remove, chat.
Yeah, so the directions I sent yesterday, I think you have to change an on-off toggle switch in your desktop app, like where you would set up a meeting
Okay.
under meeting settings.
Okay. So let's just do a test here. If I'm gonna make you host, because I can see that it's recording.
Yep.
And I'll make you host. And if it stops recording, then we'll have to just go back to me being host then, okay?
Yep.
Because otherwise we have to stop the meeting again and start over again. So,
I don't know if it was actually on your meeting settings for today's meeting. I think it was just kind of in your account.
okay, that you can allow a co-host.
Yep.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna make you host now, and Amy Tromberg is now host.
Yeah,
And
it looks like you're still recording.
still says it's recording because I started the meeting and originated the meeting.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so we're good there. What about screen sharing? Not that we have a widely distributed um, Zoom meeting. It just went to the board and to my department heads.
Hmm.
So let's say somebody, how do we limit screen sharing?
Right now, it is set up to have one participant share at a time.
Okay.
It does say all participants can share,
Okay.
and it says who can start sharing when someone else's sharing is limited to only host.
Okay. So in this case, I just want to make sure. So share screen. I'm just going to pop something up here. Um, okay, so you can see Wisconsin ready?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So I'm basically in a different, I basically had to move my computer up to a different room. Because originally we wanted Dick and I to be on opposite sides of the tables with two separate computers. Because the previous time we
Yeah.
did this, we had a problem with one camera and one mic, and it just didn't work out very good. But I can't be in the same room with him because there's too much reverb, too much feedback.
Like feedback. Yeah.
Yep. And so I basically just moved into a room off the boardroom into the land description office or the GIS office, so I can still come back and forth, and then Lori will be kind of our runner back and forth. So let's see what else we got here.
How are you planning on handling phone calls? Are you going to ask folks to just say their name before they speak?
Yes, and the other thing we're going to be doing is when we get to the election portion, Let me get my stuff up here for this. So this is basically what we're going to do, Amy, for voting. And I'll just let you read this because I have to go downstairs and pick something
Okay.
else up off my printer. So I'll be right back. Amy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so this computer here, this is where Dick's going to be.
Okay.
And but I'm using my personal computer, my personal laptop. And so you can see, and I basically logged off of Zoom and I tried to log in and I still end up with Clark Schroeder.
I can rename it.
Yeah, can you rename this one Dick Poofall? Nice job, thank you. And then also, as people are entering the meeting, make sure you tell them that we're recording, so that there's no side conversations that they don't want somebody else to hear. So, all right, I'll go back to my other computer.
Okay. We do have 2 phone numbers if either of you would like to test your microphones for sound.
And then you're going to do mic checks with everybody then and check in on numbers and do that, right, Amy?
I can, yes.
Yep.
So far, nobody has talked. So I'm not sure if they can hear us.
So these other phone numbers that came in, the 9596-7725, let's get those named. So we know who we're dealing with.
9596 is Marty Vitek.
Good morning, Marty.
Good morning.
Actually, I'm going to send you a list of the county board supervisors, because that way you know who all 21 of them are.
We have a phone number with the last 4 digits, 7725. If you could give us your name and we can check your phone connection. Phone number with the last 4 digits, 7725. We cannot hear you.
This is Charlie. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning. Okay, I'm gonna mute now.
Okay, thank you. Clark has mentioned we are recording. So we'll be recording today's meeting.
Okay, I just sent you the list of the 21 board members, so you have the correct spelling on that.
Thank
And
you.
then Amy, did you have any questions about the voting procedure?
Sounds like a plan.
Yep. So I think what, from your perspective, from hosting the meeting, I think what's going to be the important thing is, as I'm not going to shut down the meeting because, I think it's going to just be a problem to basically shut down the meeting and then reopen the meeting again. So we're just going to leave the meeting open. The people that can
Okay.
email, Heather, and the people that we're going to call, they're going to have to hang up. And then, actually, that's an interesting question. Can you hang up a phone number as a host? Or can you just mute people?
I can mute them and I can put them in a waiting room, or I could remove them completely, I think.
So if you remove some, because so, one of my concerns is, so let's say we have to get a hold of somebody who's on the phone. If we do that and they don't hang up, how do we call them to get their ballot?
We could hang up, I guess, if they only have one phone line, you mean?
Yeah. There's going to be a few people here who are just calling in on their cell phones. And
Yep.
so we have to make sure when we get to that ballot process, even though we're going to keep the meeting operating, and then as we call people, as Heather Schutte calls people, then those people will call back into the meeting.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to figure out, again, getting people online. So maybe take your list, maybe take your list and put the numbers on it for those people.
I have
Then
Martin
good.
down, and we have another phone number that's the
Sure.
1-845-517-7729. I cannot hear that person. So we have one phone number right now I don't have identified.
7725.
Yep. And they're
That's
talking.
Ron.
Oh, it's Ron?
Ron Stender,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you, Ron. All right.
Amy,
Yes?
are you, when we're doing the voting, I know you got sent a list. On there is my home telephone number. Can we use that for the voting? Because this way I don't have to, get off this one and I can just use my other line.
Yes, that would work if you have two lines.
Okay?
Actually, Heather,
That,
I would let Heather Schutte know that. So Heather Schutte, are you online?
She's been getting connected.
Okay.
this is Marty Vitek. I think that's a good idea. Could you do the same for me?
All right. So Marty, you want Heather to call your cell phone or a landline?
Landline, yeah. Let's see, 274-5461 is my landline, yeah.
And Ron, you want Heather to call? Ron, would you like Heather to call a cell phone or a landline number? Ron, if you're talking, I can't hear you again.
I was out of the room. Now I'm talking.
Would you like Heather to call a landline or a cell phone for you for the voting?
My landline.
Thank you. All right, good morning. As folks are joining, Clark would like you to know that this Zoom is being recorded. We have some cell phones and some landline phone numbers coming in. If I call your last 4 digits of your phone number, if you could please let us know who you are for attendance purposes. We have a 4094.
Amy, are you able to hear me? This is Heather.
Yes, Heather, good morning.
Good morning. I need Ron's landline number to call. I do not have that in my records.
Okay, that's on the list, but it would be 292-6250.
And that's, I do have that number. I'm sorry. That's the number you want me to call in regards to voting then.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right, is someone here with the cell phone last 4 digits 4094? If you'd like
That
to
was Berlin, District 13.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay. And for the voting, are you going to need to hang up and call back in, or do you have a separate phone number that Heather can reach you at for voting?
Five 685.
I had 685.
8599.
Okay,
8599. Thank you, Michael.
now you're live.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we
This
can.
is
Good
Joe
morning,
Rose.
Mr. Van.
Hello.
Good morning,
Good
Joe.
morning.
Morning.
Hello. This is Doreen. Doreen Hannanen.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Doreen.
Doreen.
Good morning.
Doreen, will you need Heather Schutte to call you for voting on a different phone line?
No, she can call me on this number, that my cell phone. It's 715-533-2464.
Okay, so we will have to have you log off at that time and then talk with Heather, and then you can call back into this meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dick,
Good
can you
morning.
do, Dick, can you do a mic check for me? I want to be able to hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, you're good. I don't even think you need to sit up there. I think you're good. Thank you.
Good morning, Dick.
Good morning, this is Elizabeth Franick.
Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Liz.
Good morning.
Liz, will you need Heather to call you for voting
Yes.
at this number or a different phone
Yes.
number?
It'll be at this number and I will hang up and call back in.
Okay, perfect.
And also, those of you, if you do have access to your county email, you can vote via email to Heather. So that's an option for you also.
Okay.
Mike Berlin, can you repeat the number that I need to call? Your landline number?
All right, we have 2 more phone numbers if we could. check them. We have a 209-1554.
That's you.
Oh.
That's you, Rick.
Hey, I'm in. I'm here. I'm Rick.
Rick. All right.
Good morning, Rick.
Rick, for voting, will you need a phone call to this line or a separate phone number?
I think you can call this line. That'd be fine.
Okay.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Bill. Who am I speaking to?
This is Amy Tromberg. We're getting set up for our Ashland County Board meeting. We are recording.
Okay. Okay.
And let's see, if your phone number, the last 4 digits, 5942.
Correct.
Okay, added to our list here.
Hey, Amy, Matt McKenzie, did you have me down?
I do have you down. Let's
Okay,
see,
good.
show your name.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, looks like we have one more phone number. Last 4 digits are 0672.
Hello.
0672. I'm sorry, can you repeat who this is?
This is Rich Huber. Yeah, that's my number.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Yep, we can hear you. Thank you. We're just putting the name down for the computer so people can see this. Will you be
Okay.
voting? Will you be voting via email or via a call?
Via call. And my call number would be 274-8801.
Okay, I mean, Heather's on the line, so Heather has that.
Amy,
Yes.
this is Gary Murdock. I have a different phone number to call.
All right.
It's 769-3434. And it's extension 312.
And that's a 715, Gary?
Yes, 715-769-3434, extension 312.
All right, we'll make sure Heather has that for voting.
Thank you.
And those of you who have a computer, I just emailed you Heather Schute's email address, so you can click on that and email your vote in when it comes time, because that would expedite the process so we don't have as many calls to have to make. If we have to make 21 calls, it's going to take longer. So please email your votes in if you have the availability to do that.
So do you want us to, is it going to be just one email that we send, or are we going to send multiple emails to Heather? How do you want us to do that?
So when we get to the election portion of it, after we take nominations for the chair, then we will basically recess the meeting. We'll keep this Zoom meeting going. People will email in their votes for chair. And then once we figure out who the chair is, then we will take nominations for vice chair. And so there'll be two separate recesses that we have to do this on. Because
Good clarification.
yeah, because if somebody may be a nomination for chair and not win, and then get nominated for vice chair and then win. So we really have to do it in a two-stage process.
Do we have everybody on board?
Looks like we have 3 more phone calls. If you're calling in on a phone number, the last 4 digits, we have a 2346. You could identify yourself for attendance. Mhm.
2346. The last 4 digits of 2346.
All right, we also have someone on a phone number, the last 4 digits, 1424.
Yeah, this is George. That's my number, 1424.
All right, George. Good morning.
And George, do you have a
morning,
second?
George.
Do you have a second number that we can call to
Nope,
for the voting?
that's my cell phone.
All right, when we get to that point,
Well,
yep, we'll hang up. You hang up, and then we'll call you back.
You bet.
And it looks like we also have a 7014. 7014, 4 digits.
Josh from zoning.
Oh, good morning, Josh.
Okay. I think we're probably pretty good, Dick. I think if you want to, start the meeting, I think we're pretty much solid where we need to be.
All right. I'd like to call this meeting to order for April 21st, reorganizational meeting. Are we going to do a roll call? Or don't we have to do that?
No, we should do a roll call. I agree.
Are we doing the moment of silence and pledge of allegiance first, according to the agenda?
Yeah, I don't see the, yeah, okay. First, we'll observe a moment of silence.
This is Elizabeth Franick. I would like to dedicate this moment of silence to the Darrigan and Ford families.
Next, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll do the roll call.
Roll call for attendance. Huber.
Yes.
Hennanen.
Yes.
Weiner. John Weiner.
John Weiner, we can see you.
Yes.
Okay.
Moody.
I'm here, yes.
Hurtig.
Yes.
Negro.
Yes.
Mackenzie.
Yes.
Quebec.
Yes, I'm here.
Betziner.
Right here.
Just on the phone?
For some reason, we don't have.
Bill Betziner, are you here?
So here's me.
Unmute yourself.
Campbell.
Here.
Kabasa. Kinney.
Here.
Ortman.
Here.
Franick.
Here.
Hufall,
Here.
Endor,
Here.
Rose.
Here.
Joe Rose.
Here.
Thank you. Berlin.
You'll have to dial back in. I don't know.
Here.
Corpola.
Here.
Mika.
Here.
VTech.
Here.
Just to clarify, is Meskinder here? Oh, I see you, Bill.
He is here. Bill, do you want to test your volume?
Joyce Cabasa. All right, 20 present, 1 absent.
This is Kathy Schutte. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So John Weiner and I are in the same house and we can see him on the screen, but he can't hear you. Or you can't hear him. But he is here and he is on.
John, do you want to say hi?
John, say hi.
Hi.
We can hear you now. You're just a little bit quiet.
Okay, so John, you want to speak louder?
Okay, and the other thing I will say from a meeting management standpoint is if you can mute your phone or mute your computer while you're not speaking, because there's a lot of background noise and it's going to be easier for all of us if everybody just mutes it. On the computer, you just click on the screen where you are and you can just hit mute or unmute. And on the phone, it's *6, if I remember correctly. Is that correct?
Can you hear Bill now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Heather, is everybody present and accounted for?
Yes, we have 20 present, 1 absent.
Who's absent?
Joyce Cabasa.
We heard
Call-
Joyce Cabasa.
Joyce Cabasa, are you present?
We have one phone number that ends in 2346 that we have not been able to hear.
We just got notification Peppy is currently trying to get through. She's having some issues.
Okay.
So we will account for her here as she is trying to call in currently.
This is Kathy Schutte, and I have a question for Heather.
Yes, Kathy?
We gave a different telephone number for John Weiner to accept phone calls for his voting, and I haven't heard that number called yet.
And that number is 292-2715?
That is correct.
Yep, I have it down. Thank you.
I must have missed it because we just didn't hear it.
This is Charlie. Heather, Peppy was wondering if you could call her and help her get connected. She's having a struggle.
She has to call in on the number on the agenda. I don't believe I can help her by calling her.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't call, we can't call out, but.
Right. Angela is on the phone with her, I believe, right now, trying to guide her through.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Heather, this is Bill Metzinger. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Joe Rose. I assume you have my phone number?
Joe, I have your number as 292-7225. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Now, are you going to call me to vote, or how does this work now?
Yes, I will. I will call you when
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
in that metal, that container, that white container. It's on the ledge.
Bill, you might want to mute your speaker phone.
Your
What
mic.
do I got to do that?
The bottom left corner.
There you go. Perfect.
Heather, you let me know when you want me to continue.
Yeah, Dick, I think what I'm going to do is on the screen, I have the voting procedure for chairperson and vice chair. I think before we take nominations, I'm just going to leave this up here. I'll read through it briefly so people have an understanding of what we're going to do. And then before we go into the nomination process, make sure everybody understands what we're going to do. So we're going to take nominations for chairperson first. After the nominating process is complete, so then we will recess the meeting for 15 minutes. During this time, board members who have county emails set up can email the county clerk and that's the email. And I will basically leave this up here when we get to this next phase. I'll put in who the nominations are so people know. During this 15-minute, Heather and Max will be calling board members without county emails and ask them their choice. Board members calling on their phones will need to hang up so that we can call them. Make sure that Heather has your cell number so she can reach you during the vote. After they voice their choice, they will need to call back in again to the meeting. So when you recess and hang up, make sure you keep the information to call back in. Heather will tally the votes and have them taken to the boardroom where Chairperson Pufall will announce the results. We will complete the process again for vice chair. After that, later on in the agenda, I actually do have, if the board so votes, they can elect a temporary second vice chair for the period during our pandemic. And that's my recommendation. And we have that later on in the agenda. And that could just be a roll call vote, so we don't need to go through another vote. The other elections, so on highway committee and any other committees which we take nominations for elections, Heather will just do a roll call vote on those. So only the chair and the vice chair positions will be this anonymous voting process. Are there any questions on this?
I have a point of clarification.
Yes.
Are we going to have time for each one of the candidates that gets nominated to say what their vision for the county is and what kind of things they want to do with the chair position and the vice chair position?
I did talk to Dick the other day about that, and I apologize, I did not follow up. I had recommended that we allow basically a minute or two at the max for each candidate for chair or vice chair to introduce themselves to the board, since we have some new members to the board, and I think it might be a good idea. Dick, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
This is Ward 6. I just got in on this. Could you explain how you're going to vote, please, again?
Well, the voting process is, I hate to make you do this again, Pepe, but after we get done with the nominations, you're going to have to hang up, and then we're going to call you, and you're going to give your vote to Heather. Heather will give you a ring, and then you're going to have to call back into the meeting again. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions on the process? Everybody have a good understanding of what we're going to do?
Yes.
This is Matt McKenzie. Heather, do you have a phone number for me? I can't access my emails.
Matt, I have your number at 682-6671.
No, why don't you please use 413-1117.
413-1117.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kathy Schutte here.
Go ahead.
Heather, what number are you going to call me back on?
I have both a cell and a landline. Which one do you prefer?
if you could call the landline, please.
278-3702.
Correct, thank you.
All
This
right.
is Joe Rose. What number do we call back after we vote?
You don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
you'll just stay on the line. The people are on the
Yeah,
computer.
we'll just stay on.
You don't
Okay,
need to. You don't need to log off your computers.
Okay, thank you. I'm on somebody else's computer, but that's okay.
All right. Anybody else have a question about the voting process? Okay, Dick. Then you can open the process up for nominations.
Did you want to do a bio first or no?
Well, I think you would want to take the nomination. So, you know,
Okay.
ask the board to give nominations for the position of chair.
Now take nominations for chairperson.
This is Joe Rose. I want to nominate Rick Poopall for chair.
Okay.
This is Elizabeth Franick. I second that nomination.
I don't believe we need seconds for, we don't need seconds for the nomination process.
This is Charlie Ortman. I would like to nominate Clarence Campbell for the position of chair. Thank you.
This
All
is
right.
Laura Nagro. I'd like to nominate Martin Vitek for chair.
This is Martin Vitek. I would respectfully decline the nomination.
All right. Clarence, by the way, do you accept a nomination for chair?
I do.
Okay.
Are there any more nominations? Any more nominations? This is the last call. Any more nominations? Nomination period is closed. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, people who have emails, please email Heather. And the people who don't have emails,
Point of
Heather?
clarification,
Yes?
weren't we going to do like an elevator speech or such?
Oh, you're right. Thank you, Laura. I apologize for that. So Dick, do you want to go first and give the county board your introduction and vision for being the county board chair?
My name is Dick Kufal. I'm a lifelong resident of Ashland, Wisconsin. I've been on the city council for 15 years. I've been on the county board for 14 years. Before that time, I worked for Greyhound for 25 years. And I worked for Isle Vista Casino running the buses for 14 years. I've got close to 40, 50 years in public service. So I do know how to get along with the public, cater to their needs and the likes of that. I'm interested in this position. I would like to get to the point here where we could cut out the internal problems that we have on this board and everybody start working together. Thank you.
Go ahead, Clarence.
I'm Clarence Campbell. I believe that I'm the best qualified candidate to be board chair. I've been on the Ashland County Board for 24 years. I am the second longest tenured board member to George Micka. And during that 24 years, I've served on several of the committees. I've missed a few, but I've served several terms on the Finance Committee and on the Executive Committee. And I've been a member of the Health and Human Services Board for all 24 years on the county board, and I've been chair of that board for the last 20 years, and continue to be reelected as chair of that board, even though I have offered to step down from time to time and let someone else assume that role. But I have been reelected every time unanimously without opposition. And I believe that's evidence of my leadership ability, my ability to get things done and to conduct meetings in an orderly and efficient manner. Board meetings are usually a legal-sized sheet of paper filled to the bottom, and we generally get done with our meetings in under 2 hours. So I run an efficient and well-run meeting, and I would bring that to the county board as chair. I believe that we are all elected to serve the people of Ashland County and in the best interest of the taxpayers of Ashland County, and I believe that I'm the best qualified to do that. Last Friday, when you took your oath of office, you swore to serve the public, and believe that I am fair, open, and honest, and I will be a strong leader and advocate for Ashland County, and I would be honored and humbled to serve as your board chair for the next 2 years.
Okay, if there's no other questions for that, we will go into a 15-minute recess, and we will start calling and emailing. So with that, we'll just leave the meeting as is, and just remember that the meeting is also being recorded. So even though we're in recess, anything said will be recorded in this document. So mute your mics if you don't have anything, the conversation. And if you are on a computer and you're getting called at the same time on your phone, remember to mute the computer, because otherwise everybody will hear your conversation with Heather. So
Heather, this is Charlie Ortman. I just sent you my email for my vote.
Actually, that's a great idea, Charlie. Those of you who vote via email, send it into Heather. Let Heather know that you've done that, so we don't have to call you. Okay, we'll start the process now. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. I received your vote.
Do we have to hang up?
If you are on a phone, you have to hang up because we have to call you. So if you're on a computer, you don't. If you're on a phone, please hang up and Heather will call you. And then as soon as you get done with Heather calling you, call back in, and then we'll basically reconvene.
Thank you.
This is Charlie Ortman again. Clark, I think some phones can handle multiple calls. Would they necessarily have to hang up, or is that just a good idea to hang up?
The issue, Charlie, would be if somebody conferencing somebody, they could theoretically, unless they're astute at it, they could have that vote public. If you get my drift, if you bring in another phone and then you got to mute the other one, you certainly could do that. But I personally wouldn't know how to do it myself. So.
Okay, thank you.
Heather, Ward 6.
Yeah.
Could you call me on 715-682-5069?
I will do that momentarily.
Thank you.
Heather, Gary Murdick, you won't have to call me. I sent my vote email.
I just received that. I was just going to respond. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather, this is Pat Kenny. I sent my vote by email.
Thank you, Pat.
Heather, this is Laura Negro. My vote is in by email.
Thank you, Laura.
Clark, on that sheet you have up there, it looks like you've got too many E's in Heather's last name.
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
No,
now you're not.
Okay. So if I want to talk, I hit that button.
Let's see if they can hear you right now.
We can't hear you, Bill. Oh, now you're muted again.
If you hit that, see now they can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, okay.
So
Pardon?
Can you see my little dog that's sitting on my lap?
I can see.
She's a rescue dog.
What's her name?
Lucy.
Nice. My dog's about 75, 80 pounds, so he's too big to be a lap dog. But also a rescue. He's taking a nap right now.
You're not. Okay.
Is Rich Huber still with us?
Hello.
Is this Rich Huber?
Yes, it is.
I'm trying to reach you. I was not able to get an answer.
I gave you a number when I talked to you earlier, 274-8801.
I didn't get that.
Oh, I thought when I started the meeting, I said I'd have on that number instead, but maybe you didn't hear me. But
I probably wasn't on at that time, so I will call you.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm going to give you a call now. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Dick, this is Clark. You have to take your mic off mute. Okay. All right. I have the results here, and I will announce them. Richard Poofall, 12. Clarence Campbell, 9. Okay. So we will continue with Richard as chair.
Thank you. Now we'll take nominations for vice chair.
This is Charlie Ortman. I'd like to nominate Clarence Campbell for vice chair, please.
This is Marty Vitek. I'd like to nominate Gary Murdig for vice chair.
Are there any more nominations? Are there any more nominations? This is the last caller. Are there any more nominations? Nomination period is closed. Thank you.
Okay, so we will go through the same process again. And people who can email, please email Heather. People not.
Point of clarification.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Introductions. Thank you, Laura. I keep forgetting that. So Dick, ask both candidates to speak why they'd be a good vice chairs?
Yeah, had to get some fuel.
Ask
I'll
him
just
for
repeat
Wi-Fi.
what I said the first time.
Gary, are you there?
Yes.
Yes. Would you want to speak to why you'd be introduce yourself and why you'd be a good vice chair?
Sure. Well, thank you for the nomination. Just so everyone knows, I'm from District 21. It's the town of Agenda, Ward 2 of Peaksville, and the east side of the village of Butternut. Just to let you know who I am, I graduated from Ashland High School. I also graduated from Wisconsin Indian Head Technical College in Ashland. Part of my work history, I actually worked for Ashland County Human Services for 9 years as an economic support specialist and then a supervisor. I then took a job with the state of Wisconsin. I worked with the Department of Workforce Development and then the Department of Children and Families as a contract manager. I took care of 17 counties in the northern part of the state with contracts that the state issued. I retired in December of 2015, and for the last 5 years, I've worked for the U.S. Forest Service out of Glidden. My past history is I served 11 years on the Agenda Town Board as a supervisor. I was also elected law enforcement officer for 4 years. I've been on the county board for the last 8 years, and starting next week, I'll start my 30th year as a school board member of the Butternut School District. I'd appreciate your support and look forward to doing my best. Thank you.
Okay, with no further ado, we can move into the voting for the two people that you see on your screen. So
This
go
is
ahead.
Maureen. I am back. I had a little trouble getting back on after talking to Heather with the vote. Could you tell me the names of the candidates?
Clarence Campbell and Gary Murtek.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, go ahead. Email in, and if not, wait for a phone call from Heather.
Heather, this is Charlie Ortman. I sent you my vote.
Thank you very much.
Mark, could you stop sharing your screen for the moment so I can get access to the rest of my screen, please? So I can get into email.
There you are.
Thank you. Heather, I sent my vote for vice chair from Pat Kinney.
Thank you, Pat.
All right, Kathy, can you do that again?
I have not been able to speak on the phone because my phone is muted somehow, so you don't hear anything I'm saying.
I think when people first call in, they are showing up as muted.
Okay, so I took it off of mute because, oh wait, on the bottom of my screen, the microphone was red and it had a line through it. So I took it off and now you can hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Yeah.
Okay, because I made a nomination, but you didn't hear me. So
No.
it didn't work. It didn't work for me.
So at the bottom of your screen right now, can you mute and unmute?
I see the mute icon.
Can you try it?
Do you want it red or do you want it white?
We can try it red and then try and turn it back to white and see if we can hear you again. Okay, now you're mute. Can you try hitting it again?
Now now the red microphone is off and I can hear you.
And now we can hear you again. So we can hear you when it's white, and when it's red, we can't.
Correct, but I made a nomination and you didn't hear me. So we have to work on that in the future.
Do we have to redo this process piece then?
No, we'll let it go through. I just want you to know there are issues when you're muting, then you can't hear me at all. So let's just continue forward, but we'll work on it in the future. We need more practice sessions.
We'll get better at this. We're going to be doing
Thank
this
you.
for a while, I think.
Thank you, Clark.
Kathy?
Yes, Laura.
If you and John are going to be in the same room, you might remember that first time you were on last time and it was kept making that.
I have to go. The phone is ringing for a vote. John, come here.
John? If you two are going to sit close, we may get feedback on here because there was just feedback a little bit where it was really high pitched. So if you guys can just, usually about 6-8 feet away from each other to not have the feedback between the two devices.
I'm going to move the phone.
Oh, there you are.
I'm going to come back here and plug it in. I'm about 10 feet away now.
Yeah, I just got a really high pitched thing in my headset that hurt. So
Yeah,
just
I
in
apologize.
case. Oh no, it's no problem.
When the red microphone is on, then you don't hear me at all.
Nope. So you can mute and unmute as you need to.
Okay.
So,
Thank
you,
you.
Kathy.
It is automatically putting people on mute when they come back in the meeting.
Yeah, that might be a setting where we, that might be a setting that I've set the meeting up with that. And part of that, Amy, is technically, you know, this is a public meeting. We could have 30 people that are dialing in from the public. And so
This is Heather. I'm trying to reach Mike Berlin and I'm unable to get through. Mike, is there a new number for you?
Heather, did you try the 685-8599?
Several times.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking.
That's what he had mentioned this morning, and I do not see him on the line right now.
It goes strictly to voicemail.
He is here.
He is online.
685-8599, yes.
And it goes right to your voicemail.
Okay, just dial the 4094 then.
Thank you.
292.
all right, Dick, this is Clark. I'm back online. And we have the vote tally in for the two candidates for vice chair. Clarence Campbell is 8 and Gary Murdoch is 13. So that's your,
Was that count again?
the vote is 8 for Clarence and 13 for Gary.
All right, moving along. Thank you guys for participation. Mark had mentioned that possibly in order to keep everybody aligned on what's going on here, maybe we should do another roll call to make sure we didn't lose anybody.
Yeah, Heather, do you want to just do another roll call to make sure we're back online with everybody and everybody's ready to go?
All right.
Thank you.
Hennanen. Hennanen.
Yes.
Weiner.
Here.
Judy.
Here.
Murdig. Gary Murdig. Negro.
Here.
McKenzie.
Here.
Quebec.
Here.
Messinger.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Kabasa.
Here.
Kinney.
Here.
Ortman.
Here.
Brannick.
Here.
Hufall.
Here.
Stendor.
Here.
Rose.
Here.
Berlin.
Here.
Corpola.
Here.
Mika.
Here.
Vitek.
Here.
Huber.
Here.
Gary Murdig, are you here?
Heather, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Gary. Thank you.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Everybody's present and accounted for. Next thing on the agenda is C, adoption of the agenda. We need a motion to adopt the agenda.
This is Charlie Ortman. I move to adopt the agenda.
This is Kabasa, 6-4, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Anybody opposed, say no. Motion carries, thank you. Public comments. Do we have anybody on? Heather?
I have nothing for public comment.
Okay, so seeing nobody here and having nobody online, we'll go to the next thing, consent agenda. Approval of the county board minutes from April 3rd. Need a motion?
Make a
Move we
motion,
approve
Ward
them.
6.
This is Philomena. I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Resolution R04-2020-1349 honoring Cindy Zach.
Kathy Schutte here. I'd like to make that motion.
Charlie Ortman, I'd like to second it, please.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Can I talk to that a minute?
Yep.
Dick?
Yep.
I've been on Health and Human Services for a long time, and I just have to say that Cindy Zach was on top of her game all the time. She moved so many things forward and was just such a forward thinker. We're really going to miss her. Her replacement has some big shoes to fill, but I'm sure she'll be up to the task. But we're really going to miss Cindy, and I just want to go on record thanking her. And Clarence probably wants to say something too. Thank you.
I'll just echo what Charlie said.
Ward 6, Kabasa, also on Health and Human Services, and I want to hats off to this lady because she's been through everything for years and is, like Charlie said, at the top of her game and has never let us down. Thank you.
This is Matt McKenzie. I need to echo similar comments. You know, in about 6 years I've gotten to work with Cindy, I can tell you that she's a true professional and did the right things at the right time for the right reasons. Thank you, Cindy.
Any more comments? Thank you for those comments. We voted on this, right?
Yep, you're good to go.
All right, net F on the regular agenda. Resolution R04-2020-1350 designating the highway and executive committees as the only elected committees for the Ashland County Board of Supervisors. We need a motion.
I would like to hear you again. There's noise and I couldn't hear what you were saying.
The resolution 2020-1350 designating the highway and executive committees as the only elected committees for the Ashland County Board of Supervisors.
Kathy Schutte, I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion, Kabasa.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Does anyone know what is the history of this and why all those committees were moved from the elected position to appointed positions?
This is Clark. We just ran across this as in doing our research and aligning the appointment process for the county and doing our handbook. And we ran across this resolution in 2008 that moved them from elected to appointed. And it seems that the county never followed through with that practice. And so the history has been that we've just been electing those, and we're basically putting forth this resolution to move the executive committee to be elected.
This is Charlie Ortman. I have a question.
Okay.
When you were sorting through these, did you stop at 2008 or did you go through all the resolutions up until now and there was no other further resolutions having anything to do with committees?
This was done totally by Corp Counsel. Neither Clark or I had anything to do with it.
Oh, I understand, but did they go through all the resolutions looking for these things and 2008 was the only thing they could find?
That was my understanding, that Max basically, you know, that's the only, it was a surprise to everybody and we never found it, that it was reversed.
All right, then I support. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Matt McKenzie, I got one quick question on that as well. Was that the reflections of the minutes of that meeting or just the resolution that with the signatures?
Max, are you on the line? Heather, is Max here with you? Heather?
Max is not here, no.
Okay, all right.
The reason I question that is because prior to this last year, the resolutions all required the signatures in order to even discuss them. I don't recall the vote of that. I know that we've discussed this several times, and to me, it doesn't make any difference, but there obviously has been enough interest to keep them elected. And I don't recall the vote on that. A check of the minutes should reveal whether that was actually voted through or not. Just because the signatures are on there doesn't necessarily mean it was approved.
I would think the signatures on there signify that it was approved.
I would suggest that's not maybe true because we've all signed those resolutions just to bring them forward.
That is correct. If you give me a couple minutes, I can check.
So we will,
The signature on there just signify that it went through to be put on the table at that board meeting. Let me check. I can check real quick. Just a moment.
okay, all right, we'll wait and get that answer. So this is Clark. Just help me when I'm reading this resolution that's on the screen. It says, now therefore be resolved that the Ashland County Board of Supervisors go on record allowing all committees other than Highway Committee be appointed by the County Board Chairperson. And everybody signed it. To me, that seems like an official document. I mean,
No,
this is a resolution that's recorded in the county.
Okay, I have your answer. The resolution was signed to be brought to the table for the county board to vote upon. It was voted upon, and it was, roll call was 8 yes, 13 no. So that resolution had failed and was not passed.
Well, that's interesting.
Thank you. I thought that was my recollection.
We've continued to elect those committees since then, so that would indicate that we didn't approve it. Signing those resolutions didn't mean that we approved of it. It just brought it forward to be voted on.
This is Charlie Ortman. Yes, and that practice was only abandoned recently.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, because for from my aspect, I basically put a stop to this practice because to me, this is a resolution that you have signed. It doesn't, and to me, this is an official document. Minutes are less official than a resolution. But you're right. If the minutes state that you didn't approve it, then you have conflicting. You're putting out conflicting information to the citizens. So. Let me see. I mean, I would think if you guys, I would think the vote would trump that a vote would probably trump your resolution would be my gut guess.
Well, that resolution signatures there was only to bring it before the board.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that. It doesn't say we're basically signing this to say we want to bring it for the board. This is an official.
But it was a
this is an official.
for years. Yeah.
I know that's why we stopped the practice, but I could see if Max is available if you want to just hang on for a second, because I think given my understanding, if the minutes say you basically did not approve this resolution, then basically the committees that you had there would maintain their status as being elected. Would you like me
correct.
Would you like me to check with Max to see if he concurs with that?
This is Kathy Schutte. I would like that.
All right, I'm gonna put myself on mute and I'll call Max real quick.
Give me 1 second. If he does that, we'll have to go back to every other resolution for the last 15 years that didn't fail, and then have to make those approved too, right? This practice was done for every resolution since we abandoned it last year, and if we did it for this one, called it approved, then there's many more we'll have to pull up and say are approved.
It is a rat's nest that, which is why I kind of found it a little funny, but let me see here. Okay, let me put myself on mute. Let me just call Max real quick. Hang on.
I agree with you, Charlie. I think you bring up a good point. It really opens Pandora's box if we forward with this.
That isn't to say we couldn't do it now using this resolution, but we couldn't use that rationale that they brought up. I mean, if we like this idea, we can still vote it, but not as stated.
Charlie, what's it coming down to? You mean we still going to have an election for people that want to be on the highway?
Well, the rationale, in my opinion, for this resolution here was that Max thought he found a resolution that stated we had changed to having only these two committees elected and didn't follow it. The fact was we only signed it to bring it forward for a judgment by the full board, and the full board denied it. So under the rationale given on this agenda, we can't really do it. But it isn't to say we couldn't all as a group say we want Highway Executive Committee to be the only elected committees. But it wouldn't be because we had not been following a past resolution.
Charlie, I think the issue before us right now is that 2008 resolution, which was defeated, said that the only elected committee was going to be the Highway Committee. And right now we're trying to have both Highway and Executive as elected committees with this resolution that's before us now.
Correct.
Why is the highway elected anyway?
That's a state law.
Yeah. I think it's a statutory thing.
That's, yeah, statutory. I did get a hold of Max, and Max will be joining us momentarily. He did not check the minutes. He assumed, like I did, if there was a resolution and it was signed by the members, a majority of the members, it's an official resolution, recorded, so. He'll be dialing in here.
I do have one point of clarification on this. In our new resolution that we are looking at, since it's open to discussion, it says in there that the statute allows the board resolution to authorize the county board chair to appoint. And I thought when we were doing the appointments that because we're statutorily the county administrator, I mean, do we have to have the right language to reflect? Because we know we can't change who appoints through a resolution.
Max can weigh in on that, but it was my understanding that that outside of the highway committee, on those three elected, the executive, they basically were created by the county, and therefore the county can determine how they want those appointments to be made. Other committees, such as Health and Human Services and Land Conservation, by statute, the administrator has to appoint those. And but these other committees, the law was vacant on those.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see, where is Max? I'm going to send Max the link again here just to make sure. I just sent Max the invite again to see if maybe he was looking through his emails.
Clark, this is Pat Kinney. I'm obviously new to the board here. I have a question both for you and board members that have been here a while. If the practice has been for board members to sign a resolution to simply bring it to the board, when I look at the number of signatures here, I have some concern that this might be creating a walking quorum if they're having discussion and coming to some agreement prior to this being on the agenda. If board members want something on the agenda, they could go through the administrator and the board chair without having to gather so many signatures. So I'm curious about this practice.
Pat, I can answer that. Those signatures were at the board meeting. And the procedure was that we had to have at least a majority of the board signing those resolutions in order to bring it forward. But the signing took place at the meeting itself, right prior to the meeting.
So
we've had cases in the past where it didn't get enough signatures, and so it wasn't able to be brought up because it didn't get enough signatures.
So do you have a practice where to get something even on the agenda, a majority have to sign the resolution?
No. But I didn't set that procedure, but that was the procedure that was used. That at least a majority of the board members had to sign those resolutions in order for them to be brought up at the board meeting. If they didn't get enough signatures, then it couldn't be voted on.
And Pat, this is Laura Negro. We stopped that process.
You stopped that process. Was it because of concerns about walking quorum?
Exactly, Pat. That's why we stopped it. And that was just within the last year or so.
Okay, thank you.
And Clark, this is Max Lindsay. I am now in the meeting. If there are any other questions or clarifications.
Yeah, so Max, I think one of the questions is, so if the minutes, when you look at the resolution, obviously it's kind of confusing for people that just come to the county. I'll pull this up on the screen again. So when obviously you've seen this before because you were the one that brought it to our attention. And you found this, and basically it says, therefore, it's all this, and it's signed and dated by the county board. The question is, the minutes would overrule this. Would that, as far as it wasn't adopted because the minutes reflect that it wasn't passed? And these are upside down. So Max, that was the question. Hello, Max?
It looks like we might have lost him. I don't see him on the participation list anymore.
Okay. I saw his face up there for a second.
No.
I just sent Max a text asking him what the deal is here.
This is Nick. Everybody hear me? You hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Yep.
All right. I've been on the board as longer than anybody, and what ends up happening is if what you're saying, if those signatures pass that resolution, there's never any reason to talk about it or discuss it or vote on it. It would already be a resolution. So what Clarence is saying is perfectly right. I mean, it was to be brought on the board so that we can discuss it and vote on it. And that's what happened there. Now, through the years, I wish I had a few minutes to talk to the board on it. We can do this later when this whole thing finishes. But the extension and the land conservation were one committee. One of the board chairs felt that he didn't like that, so he split them. The forestry committee was always elected. The extension and land conservation was always elected. All of a sudden, a board chair, through his, I don't know if it's statutory powers or just that nobody confronted it, just did it on their own. And right or wrong, that's the way it's been. So it's definitely, when we took these signatures off, now everything goes through a vote and a resolution. So it's what we did is took all these names. We don't need the names no more. So we probably didn't need the names then either. We still got to talk about it. It's still got to be brought on the floor.
Yeah, so here's your vote. And Max, you're back on the line, right?
Yes, correct. My computer shocked me and then turned off, but I'm called in now.
Okay, so so you're on a phone call, you're not on the computer, right?
Correct. I don't have video access right now.
That sounds good. So on our screen, basically, I have Heather giving the minutes, basically motion made and seconded and discussion to pass this resolution. And following the roll call, approving the amendments, motion made by a second to adopt the resolution as amended. Is this the one we're talking about, Heather?
Yes, it is. The page up will give you the amendment. They voted to pass the amendment, but the overall resolution failed.
Okay. All right. So then basically the question, the base question, Max, is given that the resolution that you basically gave us from 2008 that was signed by everybody, or signed by a majority of the board. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 out of 21. Does that trump minutes that state that the resolution didn't pass?
No, the minutes and the votes recorded in the votes recorded in the minutes are whether this resolution passed.
Okay.
I would say that resolution did not pass, even though it had everyone's signature and was on the books as a resolution.
Okay. So then the next question is, I suppose this would come down through our process of going through our ordinances and resolutions. And I wonder if there's other resolutions on the books that have all the signatures on them, but no one's has correlated the minutes to find out if they've actually passed or not.
I would say that would be possible, yes.
Yeah, since you're looking at a living example of it right now, so.
Yep.
Okay, so given that, really the resolution that you drafted, R04 2020 1315, is basically a moot point. We can't vote on it because it basically references something that it didn't happen.
Yes, I would say that's correct.
if the board, and in your opinion, if the board wanted to move any of those committees to an appointment by the chair, they would have to we'd have to draft another resolution and pass it, basically.
Yes, and if the board wanted to do that, this item was noticed in this meeting agenda. So we could do it isn't required to have the written resolution presented in the public notice beforehand. We could have a board vote on that right now and have that procedure going forward so that we could either elect or appoint these individuals without having to have another meeting. And I'll let you know, I am able to view the meeting now, even though I'm not on video.
Okay. All right. So in this case, if the board wanted to move the extension and forestry to an appointment by the chair, they could make a vote on that and pass a resolution, and then we would just draft it up and have the chair sign it after the fact.
Yes.
Okay. You got that, Dick?
Sorry, this is Charlie.
Yes.
Wouldn't this resolution, even though the rationale for it is now moot, if we still agreed that we would only like highway and executive committees as the only elected ones, couldn't we still vote for it and approve it now?
Yes, you could do that, and I would say that the vote on this would be with an amendment to remove the reference to the previous resolution.
Well, this is Charlie. That would be my suggestion. It would simplify things. And if the majority of the board likes this, which I assume they do, then I would recommend we do that.
And you're making that official motion, Charlie?
Was there a motion made already?
No.
Yeah.
You're making that motion, right?
Oh, I thought that someone did, and we were arguing about whether it was legal under this rationale. If not, I will move that we approve this resolution.
There's already a motion on the floor.
Clarence, or excuse me, Clark, Kathy Schutte here.
Yes.
I made a motion to go forward with the resolution as it was presented. So if we're going to change that, then I'll rescind my resolution.
This is Matt McKenzie. You can't rescind it. It's already been motioned and second.
Could Kathy just do an amendment to her motion and get it seconded by whoever seconded?
Yes, that would be appropriate.
Just offer an amendment to remove the reference to the previous motion in 2008, or the previous resolution.
So is that what the board wants to do? That would be the question.
Well, if you motion to do that, Kathy, with to removing that reference to 2008, and then the board will decide if they want to do that.
All right, so I will make the motion that to amend the motion to say that we omit the 2000 resolution and move forward without it. Does that clarify it?
Yeah, I think that clarifies it. And who made the second to your motion, Kathy?
I don't remember that it got a second.
It
Was
did.
that
Joyce
Was that Pep?
Cabasa.
Yeah.
Pepe Cabasa did?
Yes.
Okay.
You second it as amended, Pepe?
Yes.
Kathy, what was the amendment to the resolution?
The amended part would be that we omit the 2008 resolution and its contents, that it be removed from the resolution.
Okay.
Okay, so Max, yeah, weigh in and see where we're at here.
Yes, as far as highlighting goes, the last sentence in the therefore be it resolved would also be removed.
Correct.
And then that's where we are.
Okay. So basically removing this yellow portion is basically Kathy's approving this resolution with these highlighted portions removed would be the motion that was made and a friendly amendment made, and Ms. Tabasa accepted that friendly amendment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Dick. I would speak in favor of the resolution, but whatever the committee decides to do is fine with me.
This is Mick. You cannot get rid of a motion and a resolution that was passed in '08. You need a new resolution to override that resolution. You don't amend that resolution. You know, and one of the reasons this was brought up, I talked to Chairman Poopall a while ago, and I said there is no way. I felt that we had passed a resolution allowing the chair to pick his own committee, and I think that's why this came up on this new resolution. I don't have a problem with the resolution 2020-1350. I think everybody probably will get the committees they want, and if not, we can change that when we meet in June or July. We can do that. That we have that ability. So I would think that we would just pass that resolution for the time being and get on with it.
I would like, this is Kathy Schutte, I would like Max's idea of this.
And this is Max Lindsay here. I think that this is good. It sets it clear who is appointed, who is elected. And yes, with removing that language to the other resolution that was never enacted. So there's nothing to be amended or revoked or done with that resolution because it isn't in existence anymore.
Laura Negro, I have a question. So if we pull out the 2008 material, what exactly does the resolution say now? Because it still looks like we go back to the 4 committees being elected.
No, what would happen is you look at the therefore be it resolved paragraph. The highway and the committee and the executive committee are elected from among the members, and the remaining committees are appointed by the county board chair or is otherwise required by statute in certain circumstances.
Okay.
Where the administrator would make appointments.
All right.
So
Thank
just
you,
those
Max.
two, the highway and the executive would be elected from among the members.
Okay.
Well, moving forward, are we ready to vote on this? I am.
I think we're ready, Dick. Yeah, we're ready, Dick. So.
All right. How are we going to record these votes?
Well, I think it's up at your discretion. You could do you could either do a roll call vote or you could just do unanimous consent. Basically, just going by ayes and nays. Or board members could request a roll call vote.
This is Laura Negro. I'd rather we do it by roll call, so that way, because we're on video and phones, anyone watching this is clear on what we've done.
Are you okay with that, Dick?
Yeah, let's do a roll call.
Okay.
Clark,
Yes.
Kathy Schutte here. Before we do the roll call vote, could you explain one more time so everybody is clear with what we're doing the roll call vote for?
Okay, by voting yes on this, you're basically going to make the highway committee and the executive committee be elected among the members of the county board supervisors. The other committees will be appointed by the county board chair or otherwise required by statute. So basically, the short of it is the two committees that you had been electing, ag and forestry, will be appointed by the chair. And so that's basically that's what your affirmative vote will give you.
Point of order. This is Matt McKenzie, point of order. The first vote will be for the amendment. And then after the amendment is approved, if it is approved, then it would be to do this whole thing, is it not? There is a motion. There was a motion on the floor, and now there's been an amendment to that motion. So would this not just be to approve the amendment?
Max can weigh in on that, but my understanding is the person who made the motion basically amended it, and the person who seconded it agreed to the friendly amendment, and the board has not weighed in on this yet. So I would think the motion has been amended and seconded it. I would think we could just vote on it.
That
Max?
is correct.
Yes.
Yes, the motion and the second are to approve this resolution, deleting the portions that are highlighted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Miss Heather, you can call a roll.
Weiner,
They're calling for your vote.
Calling for me?
They're calling for your vote. You want to accept it or
Who am I voting for? Gary?
say yes.
Who?
Say yes.
oh, we're voting on the resolution as amended. Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Judy,
Yes.
Murdig,
Yes.
Negro,
Yes.
McKenzie,
Yes.
Quebec, Philomena, Quebec.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Thank you. Metzinger,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Piazza,
Yes.
Kinney,
Yes.
Ortman,
Yes.
Pinnick, Pufall,
Yes.
Fendor,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Berlin,
Yes.
Corpola,
Yes.
Mika,
Yes.
Detek,
Yes.
Huber,
Yes.
Pennanen,
Yes.
21 yes, pass.
Thank you, board. Next on the agenda is the election of the second vice chairperson.
This is Charlie Ortman. I really don't think that's necessary. I don't know what the rest of the crowd thinks, but we seem to be meeting okay here on this venue, and we'll only get better at it. So I think that's probably not necessary. Thank you.
This is Laura Negro. In a time where our chair and our vice chair could actually get sick and not be able to participate, I think this is a good idea.
I'll do a brief introduction here for people who are not familiar with this. In the state authorizing statutes for county government, it allows the counties to elect a second vice chair. There's a number of counties that do this just as a backup, and it's a fail-safe. It's already enacted in state law. There doesn't need to be a resolution. There doesn't need to be an ordinance. It was just basically if the board wants to elect a vice chair, they could make a nomination for a vice chair and vote on that. And if they don't want to vote on it, they don't have to. So It's just my recommendation in a time of pandemic. You could, you might want to do this temporarily, so.
This is Charlie.
And Clark,
I had not thought about what Laura just mentioned, so in view of that, I changed my mind. Thank you.
This is Franek.
Max Lindsay. Oh,
This is Franek. I'd like to nominate Joe Rose.
All right, we have one nomination. Are there any more nominations?
Yeah, this is Matt McKenzie. I would like to nominate Clarence, and I think if we're going to do this, what we should do is just take the vice chair election that we held. It would make sense to me that would, resolve this issue in the future as well, in that, whoever is unsuccessful in the bid for vice chair, they become the second vice chair.
I agree with that, Matt.
This is Laura Negro. I would agree with that.
This is Pat Kinney. I've got a question about the definition of second vice chair. Does that mean, on the one hand, there are now two vice chairs that have equal weight and authority, or does it mean that this person serves in a subsequent role after the person named as vice chair? Just to be clear on terms of their role and how this works in terms of process.
And Max, correct me if I'm wrong in this, the second vice chair will basically act as chair if both the chair and the vice chair are incapacitated and unable to serve. And that person would basically carry through with the duties of the chair until a new chair and vice chair are elected. Would that be a summary, Max?
Clark, this is Max Lindsay. Yes, the statute specifically says regarding the second vice chair is that in the case of absence or disability of the chairperson and vice chairperson, second vice chair shall perform the duties of the chairperson. And I also wanted to clarify that because if we do elect a second vice chair for this term, this second vice chair only serves so long as the current chairperson's term is in place. It doesn't create a precedent, so we always have to have a second vice chair. So it could just be for this one term here. And if the chair and the vice chair, nothing happens to them, then this second vice chair doesn't have any authority, any additional duties.
Then what is the sense of having this? It's just more paperwork, in my opinion.
It's a backup in case something happens. In case something happens to the chair and the vice chair simultaneously, we have somebody who can still act as chair until a new chair and vice chair can be elected. So.
Hello, this is John Weiner, and I would like to get Kathy Schutte into the chair. Did you get that?
I got that.
Thank you.
This is Laura Negro. I'd like to make a motion that we have a second vice chair in place for the term of this chair's position, like Max said, and have it be the person that lost on the vice chair election.
This is Matt McKenzie. I'll second that motion.
If we're going to go according to the agenda, number 2 says election of second vice chairman. I think we should go on with nominations and do an election.
And this is Max Lindsay here. The statute specifically says the members may also elect a second vice chair. I would recommend that is a second election, especially since that first election, people were not informed that the runner-up would be the chair.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Laura. I rescind that motion then.
All right, are there any more nominations?
This is Laura Negro. I move that Charlie Ortman be the second vice chair.
I'll second that motion. Tabasco.
Are there any more nominations?
So just to be correct here, I had 3 nominations.
Please read them off.
I have Kathy Schutte, Joe Rose, and Charlie Ortman.
Thank you.
So Dick, how do you want to handle this? Do you want to go down and recess and do secret ballots again?
I think in order to expedite this, we should just do a roll call for each one.
Point of order. Are we going to have these 3 people speak? It's another election. It's what we did with the last 2 positions.
Chair?
So you want a secret ballot, Laura?
I think what Laura is asking Dick is to ask those people to say why they want the position of second vice chair.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So Dick, why don't you ask those people that you see on the screen there what they why they want to be or why they should carry out the duties of a second vice chair.
Okay, Kathy, you're first up. Why would you like to be second vice chair?
All right, this is Kathy Schutte. I recently, in this month, got elected to my 5th term on the county board. And I feel that I could be a good vice chair. And that position would only be used in the case of an emergency like a pandemic where the chair and the vice chair were not able to hold that position. And I feel that I could fulfill that position for the next 2 years. I've lived in Ashland County all my life. I'm currently a supervisor for the town of Marengo. I enjoy public service and I could work with the rest of the board. Thank you.
All right, Joe Rose, would you like to explain why you'd like to be second vice chair?
Well, I've been on the county board for the past 6 years now. And I've always been very concerned about environmental issues, especially the threats to our water, our air, Mother Earth, and so on. And in fact, for about the past 40 years, I've been involved in these environmental threats to our area. And as vice chair, I would continue. Thank you.
All right, Charlie, would you like to explain why you'd like to be second vice chair?
Sure. I think Kathy and Joe, first off, would do fine jobs. The only second vice chair, the way I see it, if you or Gary gets sick, we need someone that can run the meeting and has a little experience with the higher level deployments that this board does. I've been to every WCA conference. I've chaired extensions forever. I have a lot of Robert's rules knowledge. I feel I hold a very good meeting. I run a good meeting. I shared the CAFA ordinance. We produced a good CAFA ordinance and nobody wanted to kill me when that was done. So I think if I'm called upon to run the meeting of the 3, and I love you, Kathy, I love you, Joe, but I have the most experience running these meetings, and I think I have a really good understanding of Robert's rules. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm your best guy, but I don't think Kathy or Joe would do a bad job either. So thank you.
Dick? All right, Heather, I guess we're going to have to do a roll call vote on this for each individual candidate.
Hey, Dick? Nick, this is Gary. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
I honestly believe that this should be a vote like we did before.
Yes.
And it wouldn't take that long. We could move on to another item while the votes are being tallied.
This is Marty Vitek. I agree with that.
This is John Weiner. I agree with that too.
This is Pat Kenny. In terms of process, are you going to narrow it to 2 and then vote on the remaining 2, or are we going to take the highest person with the vote total?
If you're going to follow the rules of the Wisconsin for elections for chair and vice chair, you can have you can have 3, 4, 5 candidates. The issue is you have to have one person has to get a majority of the votes in order to hold that office. Is that a correct understanding, Max?
Yes.
Okay. So in this case, we would go through, if we want to go through a roll, we basically, we'll go through the same process then. It sounds like the board wants to vote anonymously. So in this case, if Dick, if you're amenable towards that, I think it's more, it's like, this is unprecedented time. So unless you have an opinion, Max, if the board traditionally does anonymous votes for chair and vice chair, I would think they'd hold the same precedent for second vice chair.
I think that would be appropriate. And also, if you have 3 people and you're voting by roll call, you would have to confirm that each supervisor only voted for one individual. So that would also have some difficulty in tracking those votes. So I think it would be appropriate to do, especially since it was requested, this as a secret ballot.
Chair Poofall, are you fine with having basically anonymous votes like we did with chair and vice chair? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go through the same process again, and you can vote for one of those 3 people, Kathy Schutte, Joe Rose, or Charlie Ortman. If we come back and we basically end up with nobody having a majority, then we're going to vote again. And the process from the state government standpoint is you do not drop the lowest candidate. You basically keep voting on candidates until you end up with somebody who has a majority of the people in attendance. And please mute your phones if you are not speaking at this point. There's a lot of feedback. Does everybody understand what we're going to be voting on?
This is Matt McKenzie. Just a point of order. I don't know if Max is still on here. Could we just make a motion to suspend the rules and allow the simple, majority of whoever wins this first vote as second vice chair, since it's only what if possibility anyhow?
This is Max. I don't have an answer off the top of my head on that. I can find out.
I will weigh in. Basically, there isn't a state regulation or state law that you have to have anonymous votes for chair or vice chair. That is your precedent within your county here. So you can just have open, many counties just have roll call votes for chair and vice chair. But in talking with Chairman Poofall earlier last week, because you have a history of anonymous votes, that's why we set this anonymous vote procedure up, because I think the board wants to deal with that. And I think given the precedent for chair and vice chair, we might as well just go and have an anonymous vote for these 3 candidates. So, any other questions on that?
This is Charlie Ortman. Heather, I sent you my vote.
Okay, let's start voting then. And people who can email, please email Heather. The people who are on phones will start calling, and we'll be back with the vote as soon as we get done with that. So you're voting on Kathy Schutte, Joe Rose, and Charlie Ortman for second vice chair. Email your votes in if you can.
Could you turn the screen sharing off again, please?
Yep, sorry about that.
Yep, thank you.
It certainly helps when you're in all these Zoom meetings to have two screens, because it does get kind of overcrowded on one screen.
Yeah.
If you're on a computer, please mute your line if you do receive a phone call so your vote is anonymous.
This is Amy. I was able to mute everyone and then unmute Heather.
Thank you.
This is Amy. Looks like we have about half of the phone call participants back on, so we'll wait a little bit longer. Everyone is on mute as they return to the call.
Okay, this is, I'm Clark and we're back online. Actually, hang on, I gotta close this door. Dick and I are basically, I'm in the GIS office and he's in the boardroom. So we got the results back and here's the results. Joe Rose with 7, Kathy Schutte with 6, and Charlie Ortman with 8. So that means we have to vote again because nobody got a majority. And you can correct me, Max, if I'm wrong with that. The other alternative is one of the 3 candidates could drop off, and then you would have a binary election. And I think that's the one thing I don't know, Max, if that's acceptable at this point. Max?
Yes, I'm there now. Anyone could drop out for a second round of voting. I would say, yes.
Clark, this is Joe Rose. I'm going to drop out and my vote will go to Charlie Ortman.
Okay. I think we need to vote a second time because we just can't transfer Joe's votes to any one candidate. So
I know that, but
okay, we got your vote recorded for Charlie then. Okay, that sounds good. All right, so let's vote a second time, and you basically be voting on Kathy Schutte or Charlie Ortman to be second chairperson. Is there any questions on that? This is, I'll just put this up for a little bit, Pat. I'll put it down in a second, but here's your second round of voting for these 2 candidates. And by very definition, somebody will get a majority of the votes at this time, and we'll be able to move on from that. So go ahead and email your votes in, or wait for a call from Heather. Heather, go ahead and start the roll call vote.
This is Charlie. Heather, I sent you my vote. I was having a little difficulty with it, sorry. It's a reply to one of the earlier ones.
Thank you. Okay. This is Clark, and I'm coming back with the election results for second vice chair position. Kathy Schutte, 7, Charlie Ortman, 14. Kathy Schutte, 7, Charlie Ortman, 14. So there's your vote.
This is Joe Rose. I would like to congratulate Charlie Ortman, and I really appreciate his support for the environmental issues that concern this entire area, not just Bad River Reservation, but the entire Bad River watershed. Thank you, Charlie. And if the time comes when
Thank you all. Thank you, Joe and Kathy and Joe. Thanks for running. I appreciate all the board members here, and I know we're all going to do our best. Thanks again.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the election of the Highway Committee. District 18 through 21, the South District. Do we have any nominations? I'd like to make a nomination for Gary Murdoch for that position. It's Carl Kubley's old seat.
Okay, as you can see from here, we need one from South representing those districts you can see on the screen, one from Central, one from North, one from the City of Ashland, and one at large. So when you make a nomination, we need to know which, if they're South, Central, North, City, or at large.
I think we should just do the South District first, so there's no confusion.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we should do them one at a time.
I'm fine with that. Yep.
This is Charlie Ortman. And if there's no opposition, we can just do a unanimous consent, right?
Yes, we would be here all day if we have to do voting on each district. So
are there any other nominations for District Carl Kubley's seat, the District 18 through 21? Any more nominations?
This is Matt McKenzie. Doreen's new to the board, and I don't know if she has anybody to nominate her, but if she has an interest, I would nominate her.
Doreen?
This is Doreen, getting back to you. I think at this point, I would choose to turn it over to another person, being that I'm new to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Doreen. Are there any other nominations? What? Yeah, we'll close the nominations at this time and cast a unanimous ballot.
This is Kathy Schutte. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Our phones were not unmuted, so I didn't get a chance to make a nomination. You couldn't hear me because my phone was muted and it wasn't unmuted.
You have to unmute it yourself.
Well, Amy said she turned them off and she was going to turn them back on, and I didn't realize we hadn't gotten turned back on. And I would like to nominate John Weiner for that position.
And Dick, who did you nominate?
Gary Murdoch.
Okay. Okay.
Are both nominees willing to accept the nomination?
John, they want to know if you'd be willing to accept.
Yes, I would be willing to accept.
Gary, you accept the nomination?
This is Gary. I'd accept.
Thank you both.
Roll call vote on this.
Yep, we'll do a roll call vote. So you're voting for either John Weiner or Gary Mertek for Southern District Highway Committee.
Judy,
John Weiner.
Murdig,
Murdick.
Agro,
Murdig,
Mackenzie,
John,
Quebec,
Murdig.
Essinger,
Murdig.
Campbell,
Murdig.
Kabasa,
Murdick,
Kinney,
Murdick.
Ortman,
Mertig.
Brannick,
Mertig,
Hufall,
Murdy.
Sendor,
Murdick.
Rose,
Murdig.
Berlin,
Murdick.
Percola,
Murdig.
Micka,
John.
Vitek,
Murdig.
Huber,
John.
Pennanen,
John,
Weiner,
John,
15, Murdig, 6, Weiner.
Yeah, okay, I'm writing it down.
Yep.
Okay, B for District 14 through 17. Nominations.
This is Marty Vitek. I nominate Ricky Corpola.
I was going to nominate Martin V.
Any more nominations?
This is Matt McKenzie. Again, we have a new board member in that area, and I would nominate him, Richard Huber, if he's interested.
Are there any more nominations?
I would like, if she's in that district, I would like to nominate Lisa Negro.
She's not. She's in the first district.
Lisa's
Any
not.
more nominations?
It's Laura. Can the nominees please accept the nominations?
This is Rich Huber. I accept the nomination.
Marty Vitek.
I will decline that nomination. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Rick Corpola.
Yes, I accept.
Okay. I guess Dick, you can call the roll call here.
Excuse me, did you get my nomination? Yeah.
I appreciate it, Pep, but I'm first district, so.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thanks, Laura.
Yep, that's fine. We'll put her down for City of Ashland. So we're voting for Rick Corpola or Richard Huber for Central District for Highway Committee. So Heather, go ahead and call the roll call vote on that.
Murdig,
Corpola.
Negro,
Huber,
Mackenzie,
Huber.
Quebec,
Corpola.
Messiner,
Purple.
Campbell,
Huber.
Kabasa, Kinney,
Corpola.
Ortman,
Rick Corpola.
Granick,
Corpola,
Kufal,
Corpola.
Sendor,
Corpola.
Rose,
Corpola.
Berlin,
Corpola.
Corpola,
Corpola.
Picka,
Corpola.
Etek,
Corpola.
Huber,
Huber.
Hennanen, Hennanen, Wiener,
Oh, I'm sorry, this is Doreen back. I think I was muted. I said Corpola.
thank you. Wiener,
Huber,
Judy,
Huber,
Corpola, 14, Huber, 7.
We're going on to North District, 1 through 13. Accept nominations.
This is Joe Rose. I nominate Mike Berlin for North District.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations?
This is Charlie Ortman. Laura, are you interested in a nomination? Is that your district?
I appreciate it, Charlie, but I respectfully decline.
Thank you.
this is, I think we need a woman down there, so Quebec, are you interested?
no ma'am, thank you though.
Whew.
Pappy, are you interested?
Yes,
This is Charlie Ortman. I nominate Pepe Cabasa.
All right, now we have Pepe and Kathy
yes,
Schutte.
No.
Mike Berlin.
Mike Berlin.
Oh, Mike Berlin, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Mike, are you willing to accept the nomination for that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right, any more nominations? Nomination for that district are closed.
Okay, so you're voting on Mike Berlin or Joyce Cabasa for Northern District for Highway Committee. With that, Heather, do roll call.
Negro,
Happy?
Mackenzie, Quebec,
Berlin,
Messiner, Campbell,
Cabasa.
Kabasa,
Tabasa,
Kinney,
Berlin.
Portman,
Cabasa.
Granick,
Berlin,
Kufal,
Berlin.
Sendor,
Cabasa.
Rose,
Berlin.
Berlin,
Berlin.
Corpola,
Berlin.
Micka,
Berlin.
Etek,
Berlin.
Huber,
Berlin.
Hennanen,
Berlin,
Wiener,
Cabasa,
Judy,
Kabasa.
Murdig,
Berlin.
Berlin 12, Kabasa 9.
Okay, going to D, City of Ashton. Ward 1 through 11.
This is Supervisor Quebec. I'd like to nominate Pepe Cabasta for that position.
Are there any more nominations? Are there any more nominations?
I would like to nominate Martin Vitek for that position.
I don't think I,
This is the city of
I don't think
Ashland.
I'm in that district.
Yeah, he can't come in there. Oh, I thought it was E. I'm sorry. I
I'd
wrote
like to
down the wrong
nominate-
place.
I'd like to nominate Pat Kinney.
Gotcha.
I'm going to decline.
This is Metzinger. This is the position that I held on the Highway Committee. I'd like to nominate myself.
Bill Metzinger. Yeah, I'm sorry, Bill. I didn't know you were interested. I would have nominated you. Nomination period is closed. Are you voting on either Joyce Cabasa or Bill Metzinger?
Kenzie,
Metzinger.
Quebec,
Cabasa.
Metzinger,
Metzinger.
Campbell,
Metzinger.
Kabasa,
Kabasa.
Kinney,
Metzinger.
Portman,
Kabasa.
Brannick,
Kabasa.
Hufall,
Metzinger.
Sendorf,
Metzinger.
Rose,
Kabasa.
Berlin,
Kabasa.
Corpola,
Metzinger.
Mika,
Metzinger.
Vitek,
Metzinger.
Huber,
Metzinger.
Hennenin,
Metzinger.
Wiener,
Bill,
Judy,
Metzinger.
Murdig,
Metzinger.
Negro,
Kabasa.
Kabasa 7, Metzinger 14.
Okay, one at-large member from District 1 through 21.
This is Gary Murdy. I nominate Marty Vitek.
Good one.
This is Negro. I nominate Pepe Cabasa.
This is Joe Rose. I nominate Paul Quebec.
I respectfully decline. Thank you, though.
this is John Weiner. I'd like to Gary Murdick if he wants to.
He's already nominated.
He's already on.
Oh, sorry about that.
On the board.
Sorry.
What nomination do we have? Murdig and Cabasa?
Yes.
Marty Vitek.
Marty Vitek. Yep.
Oh,
Marty
I'm sorry.
Vitek and Joyce Cabasa.
And I'd like to nominate John Wiener.
Will the nominees please accept their nominations?
Yes.
Sure.
Sounds like 3 to me.
Any more nominations? Any more nominations? Are there any more nominations? Nomination period is closed. Thank you.
So you're voting for Marty Vitek, Joyce Cabasa, or John Wiener for the at-large position for the Highway Committee. Go ahead, Heather, call the vote.
Quebec,
Cabasa,
Put the names up on the screen, please.
Yep, just did.
Metzinger,
VTech.
Campbell,
Cabasa.
Cabasa,
Cabasa,
Kinney,
Wiener.
Portman,
Cabasa,
Brannick,
Cabasa,
Tufal,
VTech.
Stendor,
VTech.
Rose,
VTech.
Berlin,
Cabasa.
Corpola,
VTech.
Mika,
VTech.
Vitek,
VTech.
Huber,
VTech.
Hennanen,
Did you, this is Doreen. I had to unmute again. VTech.
Wiener,
Wiener.
Shooty,
Wiener.
Murdig,
VTech.
Negro,
Cabasa,
Mackenzie,
Cabasa.
Vitek 10, Cabasa 8, Wiener 3.
Thank you. Next thing on the agenda is county administrator updates.
Let me see here. Okay. These are my updates. I want to thank
I have a
staff.
question, point of order. Don't we have other internal committee election?
No.
executive, aren't we supposed to elect that?
We voted to make that an elected committee.
Well, I discussed this with Clark today. I would just as soon do that after we get all the information back from the candidates, who's interested and who's not.
Is that all the information, I believe?
Well, as elected positions, isn't it just like we did with all the rest?
Yes.
There would be, we'd have to reserve one for the chair of finance, right? And then Dick, you've got one, and so we need to elect three.
Yeah, there would be basically at this point, there would be 3 general positions on executive. And then once finance gets appointed, then that person would be on the executive committee.
I say we go ahead and work on it right here today.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, this is Doreen Hannanen. I am going to have to bow out of the rest of the meeting. As you know, I am at work at the senior living, and it is getting close to my noon med pass for the residents. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to call it quits for the meeting.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
So, yeah, so
We're
Dick,
gonna have- You feel we should vote on this, Clark?
I think you might want to just do a roll call vote on this, Dick. That way you get the kind of the consensus of the board and they can decide if they want to go forward with the election now or wait for the election till the next meeting.
All right.
This is Joe Rose. I'd like a little more information and have it at the next meeting.
This is Kathy Schutte, and I agree with Joe.
Okay, so if we're going to take a vote, somebody's going to need to make a motion to state we want to hold an election for the executive committee today.
I'll make that motion.
This is
No,
Kathy
second
Schutte.
it.
Second it.
Okay, so the motion is to hold an election for the executive committee today. So voting yes means
Correct.
we continue and we have another election. Voting no means the next meeting we will hold the election for the executive committee.
And Clark, this is Max Lindsay. If we have the election today, these committees just need to be selected before June 1st.
Yep, I think what's going to happen here is Dick and I are going to sit down, next week, and we will go through all the different and try to corral those up. And I guess that's another point here is if you haven't filled out your selection for what committees you have a preference for, please do that this week, and we will tally that, put it on the spreadsheet, and then Dick and I will go through, assign people to the right places, and come back for basic confirmation for the chairperson appointments and the administrator appointments. Probably first part of May sometime. Second week of May or something like that.
I have a question. I'm not trying to upset the apple cart or anything, but I thought this was the organizational meeting. Can you tell me why you wanted to wait on electing an executive committee? Maybe I support that.
Go ahead, Dick.
I'm sorry, Charlie, repeat that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not trying to upset the apple cart or anything, but I understood that this was to be our organizational meeting. Can you tell me why you would prefer to wait on electing executive?
Well, when I originally had discussed the agenda with Clark, this voting on the executive committee wasn't on here. I guess I don't have a problem with it. If the majority wants to do it now, we'll do it now. But I would like to get preferences in before we vote on this.
So not enough people have filled out their wish list?
Yeah, we don't have all the preferences of where people are on there. And the reason I listed other internal committee elections was because as you found out from the resolution, we weren't sure if any other committees were going to be elected or not. That was an unknown factor. And now that we know this, the board wants to make an election. There is a motion and a second to basically elect the executive committee today. And I think it's probably wise to get the preference of the board to decide if they want to do that now.
This is Laura Negro. This is just an election like any other position that we've had so far today. And I believe we should be doing this right out in the sunshine. And if anybody doesn't want a position, like myself, I had turned down highway because I thought other people would be better at it than I would. People who don't want the nomination can turn it down, and people who do can either get nominated or nominate themselves.
I would agree with that, and I would further state that if we don't elect the executive committee, not that there would anything would come up between now and the time we did that, we'd have no executive committee, and they might have some issues that come before it. between now and the middle of May.
Well, Clark, I was under the impression that these committees would stand until the election, until the reorganizational election.
No, because technically you could have 21 brand new board members. Any committee that was in existence is defunct, and we have to appoint new people and elect new people. So I think since we have a motion and a second, we should get the preference for the board to see if they want to vote on this today.
Okay.
So Heather, go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Metzinger,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cabasa,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Portman,
Yes.
Brannick,
Yes.
Kufal,
No.
Fendor,
No.
Rose,
No.
Berlin,
No.
Corpola,
No.
Mika,
No.
Vitek,
No.
Huber,
No.
Weiner,
No.
Judy,
No.
Hertig,
No.
Negro,
Yes.
Mackenzie,
Yes.
Quebec,
Yes.
nine yes, 11 no.
So this is Charlie Ortman. So this will be at our next meeting. Selection of the executive.
Yes.
Yeah, so the quicker, better that we get your preferences back so we know what we're doing here.
I have a question too. Now that we don't have an executive committee, what's the process for us if we have something that comes up?
Max can correct me if I'm mistaken, but because we have declared a emergency and the board has approved that, basically the chairperson and the administrator have the flexibility to deal with issues outside of the normal processes, as long as this emergency declaration is in existence, and that lasts for 4 months is what the board put, and or until we rescind it. Would you concur with that?
Yes, that's accurate.
So is Max still in line?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, now, does that include the standing executive committee we have now or not?
No.
Yes, the county administrator and the county board chair, acting in concert, can take action that the county board or the committees otherwise could have. And then those items would be ratified by the board after that at the next meeting.
Yeah. Clark, do you want to do administrator updates or?
Yeah, is Liz on the line? Is Elizabeth on the line from Public Health? Okay. I had just asked her if she was here to give an update, but I have a few updates here. I want to give thank you to all the staff for Ashland County for their dedication and perseverance during this period. One of the things I'm putting up for the county board are, and I want to show you, I'm putting up information here for you under this tab called Board Resources. So again, I'll go through that one more time. There's a tab here called Board Resources. And under here, you'll have county board information. And so this would be things such as open meetings, ethics, public comments. Under the COVID, I have a number of things here concerning that I'll be talking about today. And this is so you can go back and read this information later. And WCA materials. So I would just want to point that out to make sure that the board is aware of that. So if they have questions of what I'm speaking about, they can go back and look at it. COVID update, we've only had a couple cases here. We've done tracing for up to 40 to 50 people. We've been meeting 3 times a week for our cooperators meeting. I have confidence in our preparedness between the 2 counties, both tribes, our hospital, and the city, that we are well prepared if there happens to be a big surge and an onslaught. Our isolation center planning is ready. We basically are ready to go with a local hotel to bring in patients that have been directed to isolate, self-isolate, symptomatic, or positive cases. And we have lined up how to deliver food, how to deliver supervision, how to handle incendiary supplies and oversight and law enforcement. Again, contact tracing, we are basically cross-training and increasing that. Actually, could people mute their phones or computers? It's difficult to concentrate with that. Contact tracing is being done and ready to be ramped up. So we're doing cross-training at Health and Human Services and getting people onto the state system. What will happen is one of the exit strategies as we reopen business is getting hammering down on positive systematic cases and their contacts to make sure we isolate that. We're basically going to be moving from isolating individuals to isolating the community to basically isolating individual COVID cases. And that's going to be our long-term strategy for the next 18 months. WCA and other business entities are looking to provide suggestions for business open safely and what procedures can be maintained safely until a vaccine is in place. So we will be, as an arm of the state, we're going to see, how do you open a bar? What is that going to look like? What does the table spacing look like? What does the restaurants look like? What are the boutiques? What does the church look like? All these different guidances are going to be at a high level at 30,000 feet coming from the state, but being a county as the arm of the state, we'll be boots on the ground. We'll be the ones that will be going out there and making sure that people are following these directives for opening businesses and managing businesses safely. So we have staff is working on that with the appropriate agencies. I know the League of Taverns for the state has already put out their suggestions on how to safely open up taverns, and so they'll be working along with the Department of Health Services, and they'll eventually come back down to us as a county to make sure that our local bars and restaurants and businesses can open safely. There is a on your document here, Badger bounce back. So these are things that the governor has put out, and they're basically talking about what are the metrics that you're going to need in order to do that. And they're pretty much everything you've heard of the news: increased lab capacity and testing, increased contact tracing, trace the spread, increase the health capacity, and more PPEs. These are all things, obviously, which the state and local governments are working on. I will encourage you to read this document. It just came out yesterday. This is the governor's plan. And as you can see around the state, there's starting to be political pressure from citizens and political parties to open the businesses and open the community up sooner than May 26, which is what you see currently. So I would encourage you to read through that information on the website. I want to thank Excel Energy for their donation. They donated 2,000 surgical masks to our public health department and health and human services. And that has really helped as we go out and as we're still having to go out and do child protection and other types of behavioral health services. And we want to make sure we're keeping our employees safe. With the upcoming elections, I'm going to encourage all citizens to seek absentee ballots. Currently, I know it's in flux, and the state is, and the election committee and commissions are going back and forth on this issue, but I would encourage you and your constituents to seek absentee ballots so we can safely hold the next election. It is Work Zone Safety Week, and we did post that yesterday from the Highway Department from Matt Erickson. So please be aware that as we're going to be going forward with construction this summer with safe, proper distances between each other, but you will see that. The state has come out with a tax deferral process, and this is a very complicated process to basically delay penalties and interest on tax payments until October 1st. Part of the issue is municipality, the county has to pass a referendum. Townships that are going to be affected have to pass a referendum, or resolution. They have to also declare who or what is a hardship. The counties still have to make settlements with the local municipalities. It will affect them if we don't make a settlement with them. In addition, we have to finalize settlements in early September and not get paid taxes. It would involve short-term borrowing. At this point, given the bandwidth, of my time, I really can't see all that the county is in a financial position to be able to do this without dipping into reserves or going to the bank to get a loan. We do have till July 31st to make a decision. This information just came out the last couple of days. I will provide more of a summary document when we get our executive committee up and running in May. Second Landing, there has been some discussion concerning access to Second Landing. The Bad River Tribal Nation is trying to do their best to limit outside individuals coming onto the reservation and possibly spreading COVID-19. They are limiting access to some of their tribal lands and some of the roads that come off Highway 12. We were in discussions with them yesterday, and the message that I put out in concert with the tribe was that Second Landing is open, but access is limited to locals only. So in this case, the tribal game wardens will be the ones that will be looking into that. It's not a county action. The tribal government will be using their game wardens to encourage people that are not from here to not come back, is kind of the general message on that. So that issue is solved for now. I will warn the board that we're going to see a decrease in sales tax anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 this year and probably next year also. I will update the finance committee once we can get the finance committee going in May, as far as what we can expect for that and how we're going to adjust our budgets because of this current shortfall. There is a letter on the website to Governor Evers from WCA. We're involved with 2 to 3 calls a week with the WCA. And this basically is talking about how because of the decreased money, we're asking the governor, who has sole discretion over, I don't know what it was, $1.9 billion or something like that. And he can basically distribute that money. And we're asking for basically allocations to counties to help replace lost revenue in addition to increased expenditures. Normally, some of the reimbursements that we're going to see from this particular pandemic will be for non-budgeted items that are an increased expense for this emergency, such as FEMA, DHS, CMS. And if we budgeted for, we're not going to get reimbursed for it. But given the fact that we have unexpected claims, we're going to try to do that. But the decreased revenue to support general government is going to be a problem. We've instituted FFCRA, Family First Corona Response Act. That allows every employee of Ashland County to get 10 days of sick time to basically care for a loved one or themselves or for childcare issues for a 10-day period. In addition, we have an extended FLMA federal requirement now that is in existence until December 31st. That allows employees to take up to 10 weeks at 2/3 pay for the sole reason of caring for a child whose daycare or school is closed due to COVID-19. So it's a fairly limited thing. We did have one employee apply for that. Revolving loan funds. The county has a revolving loan fund, and we met, and we're going to come back to the finance committee. We did pass at the last board meeting granting 3 months of grace period for our current loans. We'll reevaluate it in June. And in addition, we have until basically December 31st to come up with a plan for our bank balance that's in the bank, roughly $400,000. We can grant that to a project that can be approved by the state plans for the community development block grants that affects low to moderate income housing, but the plan has to be approved by December. So there is a project in Mellon that has expressed interest for a community center. And we're going to gather more information for that and bring it to the finance committee when we meet in May, and making sure that they would be able to get that approved through the state process. It's like a 100-page application, and just having the bandwidth to do that, there has to be a project almost shovel ready for us to grant that money. That's a lot of information. I will just say I'll be putting more information on this website for you as county board members to look at. And with that, I'll take questions if there's any questions.
Clark, Kathy Schutte here. I have a question.
Oh.
Yesterday, I received quite a few calls about 200 active cases of the virus in Ashland County. And I did not believe it at the time, but would you be able to share the website or where people could get daily updates for it? Could you share that vocally over the phone so we can write it down, and it would be a place where we could send them to get the daily updates?
Yeah, so I would just Google DHS, Wisconsin DHS COVID numbers, and you can see on this website here, this is our this is the numbers for all of Wisconsin.
Okay.
And then at the county level, here's Ashland County. We've had 2 positive cases, 76 negative, 0 deaths. And so the DHS site is a wealth of information. In addition, in my cooperators meeting that I host, I am going through other national sites that talk about, let's see here, where is our, okay, so this is a John Hopkins site, and this basically talks about the whole, the whole world issue, and they have a separate site just for the United States. So internet's a little slow right now, so any other questions?
This is Charlie. Can I ask where we're supposed to go to fill in our wish lists? Are we supposed to make an appointment or just drop by, and where would this be?
For what was that? Come again?
A committee appointment wish list. Where are we supposed to go to do that?
We can email that out, and you can email that back, or you can drop it off back at the office with Lori. She's doing a tabulation and putting together a spreadsheet for the chairperson and I to look at. If you don't have that,
mailed already that I missed, or what?
It should have been in your packet. Heather, is that correct?
From the April 3rd meeting, you mean?
From this meeting.
Oh,
This
okay.
is Matt McKenzie. It's in my envelope. It's in the envelope you got when you did your oath, Charlie.
Oh, thank you very much.
And
So
if
what's the email address?
you can just email it to Clark. So it's clark.schroeder@co.ashland.wi. It's on the website, and you just look under the website under administration, and my contact information is there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tabasa,
Yes, Joyce.
is Quebec there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
I was wondering if at all possible, we're talking the virus and the pandemic and everything, if you could come up with, I'm asking this, assuming that you work with the tribe a lot, and you would know some of the things that you are doing that could give us the information, you know, so that we're working with you and not bypassing your rules. If for our next meeting or something, you know, would that be possible?
Yeah, I can, and I know Joe and Mike Berlin is actually on the tribal council, so he would be a good one to work on that as well. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I would really like to work together with this pandemic, and I hear things that are going on down there. I would really like to know so that we're all together on this.
This is Mike Berlin, and just let me share with you that when we have our call every day or every other day, I'm on that call as tribal administrator, tribal vice chairman, and the tribal chairman's down there as well. So we're pretty much up to speed because Clark Schroeder, he has his call at 10 o'clock. So our health people are on that call, and they share that they share that information with us at 11 o'clock on our call with our managers and such.
That is fabulous. I'm glad we're all.
I'd be more than happy. I'd be more than happy to share anything. Any questions? Don't hesitate to call.
Yeah. So so the cooperators meeting that I host most days at 10 o'clock, I have Ashland County, I have Bayfield County, I have Red Cliff, I have Bad River, and I have City of Ashland and MMC. Because really, when you think about this issue, this is a regional issue. We are not islands. We are all in this together, and we need to work together to do this. So we are sharing information on a daily basis between all of our entities.
Yeah, that's good to hear, and I'm glad we're all working together. And if you guys keep us updated, that's great. Thank you, Mike, and everyone.
And also, this is Elizabeth Franick. I have a question about, has the county been approached at all about the homeless individuals? A lot of couch surfers, I know for sure, are packing like 4 to 6 people in an apartment at a time. And this is going to be a big time health issue as this COVID-19 spreads. A lot of them, they know the information that they have to do, but out of necessity, they're squatting in apartments together and they're couch surfers. So they get kicked out of one place, they go to another. I mean, this is a big health issue. We have to know what we can do as a county and what we need from the state to, stop the spread.
Yeah, so Miss Quebec is intimately involved with this also. And from our health aspect, we have funding to basically house people at the local hotel that we've made an agreement with. And we've set up, like I said before, housing, food, ancillary supplies, supervision for voluntary people that have been instructed to isolate by the public health officer or from a positive test from like the hospital or a clinic. The next level down, which right now we're still trying to figure out how would you fund that, is you do have the couch surfers groups. How do you deal with people who are housing unstable, who have unstable places to stay, who are ripe for transmission. If they do get it, it's going to spread like wildfire within that community. And there is a interest in the county to try to help that. The question is, how would we pay for, in other counties around the nation that probably have more money than us, they are basically renting individual motel rooms for homeless populations that are at risk during this period. One of the things that we have to be concerned about is, until there's a vaccine, this is probably not going to go away. And I don't know how we would fund housing for people for 18 months in a hotel. And so that's probably the juggernaut. Before we get to the nuts and bolts of what would we do, we'd have to say, how do we fund it?
Thank you.
This is Supervisor Quebec. I have a little guy in my office right now, so it's a bit noisy. I apologize. But I think this is also a really critical issue to address when we're talking about reopening businesses, especially businesses like taverns. What I'm hearing from employees at Quick Trip is that they're having a real hard time getting people out of the store right now. And it's really important to maintain social distancing. But when all the restaurants and all the fast food places and all the, the library and every other indoor location where homeless people have been able to congregate, warm up, even socialize are closed, those places that are open, like the stores and the gas stations, are going to be places where people are going to congregate. And I would expect that to also happen when, when businesses open and more businesses open again. And so, addressing this issue is also really important for economics and for, for making sure that we have our ducks in a row when we want to start reopening the economy again.
I couldn't agree more. This is going to be a long-term issue. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon, as we're going to be dealing with this issue, and how do we keep our citizens safe? So, other questions?
Clark, this is Dick. I'd just like to commend both you and Philomena for the comprehensive and diligent work on keeping us updated on the COVID-19 pandemic and staying ahead of the virus and the potential hazards it produces. I'm really impressed with the work you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the support. So that's all I have. The only other thing that I'm going to state before we go into supervisor reports, and I did talk to the parties involved from our last meeting, is the supervisor reports are meant to be brief statements of things that maybe that you've done or things that you'd like to see in a future agenda. Last time we had a great presentation by Mary Jo about a conservation, what they're doing with land conservation and watersheds and all those issues. It ended up being about 12-minute presentation. I basically have talked to my staff and I've asked them not to do that in supervisor reports. These are issues which should be noticed publicly, so that if there are, because I'm sure there would have been people who said, hey, we're going to give a conservation report on watershed risks. There have been people who would want to tune in to say, what is this about? And so I've instructed staff basically not to give reports during supervisor reports. And I'd ask that the supervisors limit their comments to brief statements so that we are not violating public notice for discussions of things. So thank you for your time.
Can I interrupt 1 minute, please, in regards to the supervisor reports agenda item H1 regarding the vouchers to be mailed in?
Yes, you can email your vouchers into Heather.
Yeah, we would like them by Friday so we can pay them on Monday. And we are still awaiting ACH direct deposit forms to be turned in from Berlin, Campbell, Huber, McKenzie, Metzinger, Wiener, and Rose. And we need those at the same time, please. Thank you.
Yep. So if you have questions on getting the direct deposits, talk to Heather and/or Karen up there to get that squared away. So we make sure we're keeping our staff safe and we're not dealing with checks. We're just going to deposit it in your account.
Yeah, Clark,
Yes.
this is Kabasa. I was wondering, being with the pandemic and everything, if we could get the county coroner to give her a talk on how they're handling things also.
We're involved with them at the cooperators meeting, and I'm basically putting together a 5-county consortium to look at if we ever need a cold storage truck. We're going to put together an MOU on that, and we're working on that, Pepe, so we're on top of it.
Thank you.
Well, if there's nothing else, I guess motion to adjourn to be in order.
Dick? Inside supervisor reports, I didn't know if anybody else had anything, but right now I have contacted AADC and I have contacted some contacts inside WITC. I'm trying to help if there's any small businesses that are having problems since they can't be open or they're having lower turnout. I'm working, trying to get some webinars or things to help the small businesses be able to possibly put things online and run a store from online in different sites such as eBay, Etsy, WhatsApp Business, Shopify, etc. Help them walk through that process. I'm going to be calling Northland and seeing if maybe they have some interns that might be able to walk people through this. And that way we can keep our small businesses at least sustaining through this and possibly making a new stream of income for themselves for the long term and maybe actually thriving through this. So if anybody has any ideas or wants to help, just give me a call or send me an email and we can collaborate.
Thanks, Laura. Anybody else?
Nope.
All right, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Charlie Ortman, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for being so tolerant, people.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome, Dick. Take care.
Yep, you too.
Good job. Thank you. Stay well.
Okay, Amy,
Yes.
do you have any questions or comments? How do you think that went?
I think it went okay. We did get a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
I guess for folks who are not using the call-in, they can always use the chat feature, which it
Yep.
did not look like that was utilized.
Okay, so maybe we should highlight that next time.
It did look like when folks were dialing back in, it was automatically muting the phone. So I don't know if that's a setting we want to keep, just let everyone know or not.
Okay. I think I think the feedback, like when I was giving my comments, there was a lot of people that weren't muted at that time.
Yeah, and it was the phone. There were about 4 phones that were having it, but I have no way of telling if they try to talk without, like there's no way to like turn their volume down. It's on or off. And if they're on a phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Then how are they gonna know if hey, I got something to say? Okay. Yeah. So that's,
you might have to double check the phone code and ask them to mute themselves. About half of them had it down and half didn't.
Yeah, I know I'm probably on a simpler phones. I thought it was *6, but I will put that, I will put that on the agenda next time to make sure that we have that down. Any other suggestions from meeting management? Okay, all right, thank you.
So I'll get through everything.
Thank you for your help, Amy. You're great. I appreciate your help.
Thanks.
All right.
We'll see you later.
Okay, I'm going to sign off. So anybody who's on the meeting, goodbye.